final address as the rector of King's High School. And I have to say I'm a little bit of a train wreck emotionally after this afternoon. But I think this is an entirely appropriate and fitting platform for me to conclude my time in your presence to say my final goodbye. I do want to thank you for being here tonight. You're here by invite, and by virtue of that fact, you've played a very special part in my life over the past decade. You are the people whom I have forged the closest relationships with, both personally and professionally. You've been my greatest advocates, supporters and friends. And for that I cannot thank you enough. I am conscious that some of you have had to endure me twice this week, and you'll be glad to know this speech bears no resemblance to the ones that have preceded it. This is the second and the final time that I'll be leaving King's. I left in 2005 feeling disillusioned and a little defeated. I leave in 2019 feeling privileged and more than a little proud. I really wasn't sure how to frame this address, so in the end I figured if in doubt, go back to what you know, go back to your roots. So I cast my mind back to my childhood. And it's entirely appropriate my dad's here tonight because his passions were key to some of the formational experiences I had as a young man. My dad will tell you that he really was born just over 100 years too late. He would have preferred to be born in the time of gunslingers and Indians. However, his love for the American Wild West and all its history rubbed off on me, hence my love for country music. At Christmas time, while other families were travelling to the beach or holidaying in their cribs in central Otago, my dad, my brother and I were driving to Waihuru. And specifically, we were going to the annual New Zealand Mountain Man event. You didn't know there was such a thing, did you? There is. And we loved it. Dad's handmade teepee that slept 15 to 20 people, stood about 15 feet tall, knife throwing, axe throwing, black powder shooting, dressing in buckskins. I learned some things about my body. I have learned that my body was not designed for form-fitting clothing. And this is an aside, and it's a tragic but true story, but the reality particularly sunk in a few years ago. We decided to head to Kaikoura and go and swim with the seals, and naturally enough you had to get into a wetsuit. First time I'd ever been in a wetsuit, and the last time. I had the misfortune of seeing myself in the mirror. The guides at the end of the day wondered why they'd seen so few seals around. But I knew. Those seals had mistaken me for a killer whale. During these annual pilgrimages to the heart of the North Island, I did manage to secure my solitary New Zealand title at the age of 14. I was crowned the New Zealand Junior Mountain Man. It was a great honour and a challenging field to conquer. And the two girls I was competing against...
Well done.
Over age 6 and 7. Greg's already touched on my sporting history. But they proved to be formidable opponents once they had teams. And I helped to hold up their rifles. My dad's passions, though, were also partially responsible for my diverse and at times questionable music taste. While most parents sing to their children nursery rhymes at night time, preparing them for sleep, I was regaling my children with renditions of Marty Robbins' classics, like The Hanging Tree, They're Hanging Me Tonight, and The Pride and the Badge. I don't think I left any lasting scars on my impressionable children, but I have been told by reliable sources the best part of my singing is that I know the lyrics, which I didn't find particularly flattering. It was, though, during this season of my life that I was introduced to the Battle of the Alamo. An historical account, and I learned about it first through song, that really resonated with me. For those of you who don't know your American history, here's a quick overview of the Battle of the Alamo. In December 1835, during Texas's War of Independence from Mexico, a group of 180 volunteer Texan soldiers occupied the Alamo, a former Franciscan mission. Among that group were the famed James Bowie, Davy Crockett, and Lieutenant William Travis. On February 23rd, 1836, a Mexican force numbering in the thousands, led by General Santa Anna, began a siege on the fort. Lieutenant William Travis, under his command, had 180 brave souls. It's reported that prior to the battle commencing, Travis took his sword, and in the presence of the 180 men, he drew a line in the sand. When Travis drew the line in the sand, he asked his men, "How many of you will step over the line and fight to your deaths?" There was no threat of any recourse or retribution if they said no. Every one of those men stepped up to the challenge and stepped over the line. And for 13 days, outnumbered by at least 10 to 1, they refused Santa Anna's hordes. Those 13 days were crucial in that they allowed reinforcements to gather, and the delay in the advance of Santa Anna's men was crucial to Texas ultimately gaining its independence later in 1836. So, when I think about the Battle of Alamo, I can't help but draw some parallels to my King's experience over the last 11 years. And I want to draw 5 parallels in particular. The first is conviction. The first thing that stands out to me about the volunteer soldiers at the Alamo is that they were unanimous in their conviction that fighting for the sovereignty of Texas was something they would commit their lives to and even more likely give their lives for. And I believe that conviction, a residing belief deep within your soul, that what you're doing really matters and really counts, is the key ingredient to being a great leader. I also believe that the same conviction must exist in every facet of an organisation for it to be a great one. We've shared together here a common conviction. That conviction and belief is that the education of our young men really matters. It's a conviction that we're not employed to teach curriculum, but that we are employed to touch and change hearts and lives while we're teaching curriculum. And that's why King's is a great organisation. I'm privileged to share this room this evening with some of the best educators in our country, some present and past. They all share and have shared the same conviction. They've all played a significant part in shaping the King's that we enjoy and love today. We have a former King's rector. Good evening, Mr. Simpson. We have a soon-to-be rector. Welcome, Mr. Moses. We have former deputy rectors, Messrs. Patterson and Shields. Great to see you here this evening. Former and current senior managers, Messrs. Cushion, Frost, Ross, Greenfield, and those of the fair agenda, Ms. May and Mrs. Calvin. And a wide array of staff ranging from, I didn't actually see my precious Charlotte, there she is, my precious Charlotte, and the Rosies, to the stalwarts such as John Barr, Neil Andrews, Paul O'Connor, and I also see my good friend Marius Minar here too. And then there is my superstar crew of current staff. I hope after Wednesday you understand the respect I have for you and the work you do. You are quite magnificent. In isolation, my conviction that what we do really matters would never have been enough to sustain and transform our school. I've needed you all, and together we've made something very special. So conviction is the first thing. Cohesion is the second. You know, when Lieutenant Travis drew that line in the sand, every single man stepped across. In that group there was James Bowie, renowned for his ability to fight with knives, hence the Bowie knife. There was the 49-year-old Davy Crockett, who by all accounts was an excellent marksman but also a renowned politician. And then there was Travis himself, at the youthful age of 26, both a lawyer and a superb leader. In order to effectively repel Santa Anna for those 13 days, it took a wide range of personalities and skills, all joining forces to work together in a cohesive fashion. Imagine if when Travis drew that line, only 80 had walked across. American history would have been radically changed. Schools have so many moving parts, and there is the potential for friction and fractures. One of the great strengths of our school has been that every person, regardless of their skill set or station, has walked across the line together. We're all in together, Ricky, right? My amazing current office staff, Rachel, Kirsty, Rhonda, Sue. And then there's Pam and Sharon, who survived me for as long as they could. I'm delighted you're both here tonight, but I also understand you could only attend to so much of my horrendous singing and those attempts of humour that you had to endure. You did valiantly. Joe O'Brien has to be recommended for working closely with me every day for the last 5 years, a true model of resilience. I'm absolutely appalled by what I heard tonight though, Joe. Our wider support staff, Ian Davis and Michael Regan, who have done a stellar job ensuring the property is maintained to high standards, and honestly, you have kept us entertained. It is an absolute pleasure to see tonight George and Pat Munro, who have served Kings in so many capacities. I think you both know how I feel about you. I'm not sure where you are.
Over here.
I don't need to express that here, do I? Holger, what a job you have done transforming the well-being services that we provide our young men. Thank you for your heart for them. And then there are those who have fed and sustained my appetite for things sweet. The gorgeous Dawn, and I'm so glad you're here, who never failed to pour a cup of tea without a smile. And Kim and Cara, who have transformed the canteen and now produce the finest gourmet cheese rolls in the South. For $3.50, it is a worthwhile exercise. Where's Ben? What was your assessment after today? Outstanding. Outstanding, good. And that's from a North Islander who has no idea what a cheese roll is. Our IT staff, Kevin Hand, and the New Era crew, how you managed to come to my office with such regularity to fix the plethora of minor issues that I've managed to create without any hope of resolving, and still maintain your decorum actually verges on the miraculous. Thank you. The PTSA, and I've seen both Paula and Marcella here, you guys have been significant. Thank you. Our Old Boys community have all stepped over the line and supported me without reservation or hesitation. To Doug, Hugh, Bob, Matt, Trevor, Heck, Alan, your support and friendship have been valued more than you know. And then there's our parent community. I've invited tonight those whom I consider much more than just parents of our boys. You are my friends. And I've enjoyed immensely your support of the school and your sons in so many ways. Grant and Ruth, Eddie and Liz, Michelle, without Nick, but I know he was intending to be here, Phil and Julie, those years we spent footballing are fantastic memories. And Liz, I was actually kind of expecting you to bring some baking.
I'll send it up to Josh, he can give it to you.
Perfect. Ian and Natasha, Richard and Rebecca, Eric and Susan, Greg and Kirsten, Vidya, in so many different ways your lives have touched mine and strengthened and unified our school. And then you widen the net further to encompass a raft of community groups and professional organisations. And I couldn't see Barbara Britchie here, is she? She isn't here. Barbara is part of the Otago Community Trust that have supported us to the tune of about $500,000 in the last 5 years, and they've made a magnificent difference in our school. A difference that perhaps you could argue should have come from the Ministry of Education. School support, Ian Johnston, after a rocky start, and that was on us. You have made brilliant contributions to our school. And John Brimble, former staff member and CEO of Otago Sport, where the hockey turf goes ahead, he'll be the man who's been the pivotal influence. Brian Tegg, Brian, did you make it tonight? He's the only Ministry of Education person I invited and he didn't even bother to come. He was here this afternoon, I did say this afternoon. And Gordon Wilson, leader of the Dunedin Secondary Schools Principals Partnership, a group that I never really endeared myself to. I did value our professional and personal relationship and your support and counsel. The success at Kings was never about me, just like the ultimate success that the Alamo wrought was never about Travis. It's been the cohesion of so many parts and so many great people that has driven our success. Thirdly then, courage. Conviction or belief is important. If there is no conviction, you don't draw the line in the sand in the first place, and no one crosses over, and you just end up scattered to the wind. Reality is, though, the convictions we hold will ultimately lead us to places where the conviction cannot be passive. It must translate into action. And that takes courage, especially when that is in the face of considerable opposition. The courage that it took for those men to take their stand at the Alamo in the face of unrivaled opposition with seemingly little hope of succeeding and no hope of surviving speaks volumes. I think it's reasonably well documented that during my tenure there has been substantial opposition to our school, and in particular our successes. And there is a particular group that I think have shown great courage under fire, and that's our Board of Trustees. Our board is a conglomeration of people who get a whopping $50 per meeting they attend. The meetings go somewhere between 3 or 4 hours, and that's normally preceded by a 160-page document they have to read, and then they're all part of other committees. A conservative estimate, I think, would be they receive about $2.50 per hour for the labour they give in any month. And they're all professionals. These are the people who have stood with me against lawyers, the Ministry of Education, parental complaints and media inquisitions. They've displayed amazing courage. I want to extend my thanks to current Board of Trustees members, Richard Wingham, Kyle Cameron, Chris McLean, as well as Taryn and David, who are in absentia. I'm also delighted to see, in fact I didn't see, I was expecting to see former Board Chairman Marty Gray, no Marty, Darren Munro, Deputy Chair, Carol McCormick, Martin Montgomery, a man for all seasons. And the courage you have displayed and the sacrifices you have made have been instrumental to us holding the line and creating an educational environment where young men can flourish. You never got in my way, but you made sure I didn't deviate from the way. Thank you very much. Fourthly, this is the hardest one for me tonight, and it's casualties. One of the hardest lessons that life teaches us is that life is finite and fragile. The 180 men who crossed that line were all casualties of this reality. None of them survived beyond those 13 days, but their legacy certainly survived them. I realise it's a little bit more sombre, but some people who have been very special to me have died during my time at King's. They've not survived my 10 years here, but the legacy each of them has left has survived. I do want to recognise their passing and their impact on my life, and the first one is my mum, and I'm better not to say too much, but her passing certainly hit me hard in 2015. We lost former students Mitchell Pereira and Tice Hurimaker, and Marcella and Herman. I know it's been hard, but I'm so glad that you're here tonight. Thank you. We farewelled old boy friend and staff member Warwick Larkins, my good friend Ken Bishop, who I worked with in my first stint at King's and then together again in my last. Suzanne and Joanna, your presence here tonight means a lot to me. I had the privilege to officiate your wedding, Joanna, and then the heartache, but again the privilege to officiate Ken's funeral a week later. Unforgettable times, amazing people. And then there was the man who took a punt on employing me sight unseen, former rector Lindsay Hocking. I came to know him and his lovely wife Anne and consider them good friends. Once again, having the honour of officiating at Lindsay's funeral was something I will treasure forever. And thank you for being here tonight. We endured the passing of Brian Bushell, and Malachi would make his way to the head boy role, and Zeke is doing a fantastic job as he develops into an outstanding young man. Stacey, your son's a testament to you both. Thank you for being here tonight. And finally, camaraderie. For those men to have spent the time they did together living at the Alamo, they must have built some great relationships. Fighting alongside one another only served to strengthen that bond. I've been privileged to make so many friends through my association with King's and in my time in education in Dunedin. And some of those friends whom I've really connected with are here tonight. My thanks to John Middlemas, to Nellie Mears, Sandra Spence, Tony Gilbert, who's had to leave, Craig Smart, and I did have your name down here, Greg, but it's been scrubbed out. I have enjoyed our friendships, and I'm sure they'll continue beyond my departure from King's and Dunedin. It's not particularly difficult to understand why the school has been so successful in such a great place. It is and has been full of people of conviction and courage who, despite the casualties and the opposition, have been cohesive and created a deep camaraderie. I never imagined King's would become what it has. I never imagined I'd be so proud to say I was part of it. I never imagined I could have invested so much and felt like I received tenfold more than I ever invested. I want you to know my investment doesn't cease here tonight. I will forever be interested in our young men, what they do, who they become, and how they fare. I want to thank each of you for being here tonight and for the part you played in my life. God bless you.